Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
Hi. Hey.
What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 702.5 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones. Hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
All right. Good afternoon. It's Thursday, 3 o'clock. It's about that time. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll show you how to do it. Good afternoon, Las Vegas. I'm so excited to be back with you once again talking about solar energy along with that real estate. I want to welcome you to the Let's Talk Real Estate with Greg Deville. As we've been here every Thursday, I think it's about, our engineers, about 3 years now. We've been on this particular channel, maybe. And so we're excited to continue to share more information with you. Make sure you're sharing this through your Facebook, also with your family and friends, because solar, I'm sure many of you are upset about your current NV Energy bill, and it has been ridiculous. Yes, it has. However, I have an answer to the problem. If you're willing to join the show, tune in every Thursday. Today, we're going to talk solar, and we're going to talk real estate. Those of you that are having financial problems paying those mortgages, we want to make sure that you understand. Don't let the bank foreclose on your property and take your home. There is equity on the table. What we like to do is called a pre-foreclosure sale. We can help you sell the home and save the equity. That's right. Get a pen, tell a friend. Greg Deville is at it once again. 702-349-0162. 702-349-0162. I want to welcome to my show this afternoon. Dana is a wonderful person in solar and very knowledgeable. I was picking his brain on this morning. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you all these questions on the show. So we were having a great meeting this morning. I thought this would be great to give this information to my listening audience. And so we want to welcome Dana. Good afternoon, Dana. How are you today? Are you there, Dana? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to let the engineer get you set up there. Listen, in the meantime, those of you that have not owned a home in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time buyer. If you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, you are a first-time buyer. I want to help you get into home ownership. Stop paying another man's mortgage. It is time that you have your own. And if I can help you do that, listen, my team and I, this is what we do. The last 8 years on radio, and since 2005, 18 years now, we have been selling real estate. With selling real estate, we've helped countless numbers. I couldn't count how many, but I'll tell you what, it's been a wonderful ride. We've had a great experience. We want to continue to help families create wealth through equity. Now, what does that mean? That means every month you pay the mortgage, you're paying down the principal. So that means in 5 years, 4 to 5 years, you owe less, right? So, for example, I have a client today. We sold them their home for a little over 4 years ago. They have great number of equity in their home. So they want another home because the home that we sold them, 4 years ago, they currently have equity. So they said, if we can get more space, then we'd like to use the equity out of our home and put it on the next house and just sell this house. So, again, more information, 702-349-0162. So, engineer, are we set? Check your private chat there, Dana, for me. Check your private chat. We're trying to get Dana hooked up here with our show for today so that we can go live on the information about solar. Okay, so while they're doing that, we want to just continue to talk about the pre-foreclosure sale. And also we want to look at what you can do to get out of renting. Now, I understand sometimes renting is where we are because maybe our credit, our FICO score isn't where it needs to be. However, I can help you get that taken care of. Now, sometimes it's something as easy as paying off a debt, right? Something small maybe you forgot was there. Now it's in collections. Get in touch with them. Take care of that so that your scores. I know some people say don't pay old debt. I'm telling you what, you owe me, I'm coming after you. I'm just playing. But I'm coming for you though. But but I do want to make sure you understand. I'm not going to lend you no money. Yeah, we won't have this problem. So, but listen, some of the debtors, such as an old phone bill you forgot you had. Maybe you moved into another home and this home that you're in is all electric. But you forgot the other home had a gas bill and you forgot to pay it out and close it out. And so that bill now goes on your credit history, right? So it's considered a debt. Now, when you have this debt, the problem becomes it's reporting derogatory, right? So now you get this derogatory credit, which is messing up your credit and it's slowing things down. You get a judgment, you got a lien, things that just make your credit look bad to a lender. So we want to deal with those issues and make sure that our credit is meeting, the criteria of a great lender. Right? We want to make sure we're getting a great interest rate. Now, some of you are talking about the interest rates today. I want to expose you to some information. When you pay rent, you're paying 100% interest rate with no ROI. Hear me well. You're paying 100% interest rate with no return on your investment when you rent. So if you're paying a landlord 100% with no return, and I sell your home at 8%, which sounds better? Well, the interest rates aren't 8%, but I'm using it as an analogy. And 8% versus 100%, you're getting a return on your investment because you're investing in yourself by having your own mortgage. It's a fixed lock rate. The landlord may go up at any time, much like the solar. Solar becomes a lock rate with no upfront costs. There's so many benefits to having the solar. So keep in mind, with having solar on your home, now I know what my power bill is, right? I know what my monthly payment is on my mortgage. I know what my panels cost me to have on the roof. And we're going to get more into that just as soon as the engineer can get set up with Dana. That is our rep for the solar. We want to talk more about that because as the summer is ending, we're realizing many of you have gotten those last few months' bills that has been astronomical. And I know you're a little upset, but I have a resolution for you. Getting solar will help this from happening next year. Okay, it's a little late for this summer, but of course it's great to have. It takes a little while to get it all done, right? Sometimes 60, 70 days from start to finish, perhaps, right? It's a matter of following up on your documentation, right? Replying to the emails, getting such documents that are requested, signing certain documents that are requested per the lender. Now, that is a matter of getting a loan. There is a FICO score in cases that are, looked at, but however, there is a soft pull. Much different than purchasing a home where we do a hard pull. We want to see where you are, right? Because this is the biggest purchasing a home may be your largest investment you will ever make. And with that being said, I want to make sure that you're in the right position, because a higher rate will come as a result of risky credit. If your FICO score is risky, it means you're a little more of a risk to a lender, which I may have to charge you a little more rate. But that's okay. At least you get a home. Because if the landlord goes up on the rent, you just pay it. Many of you talk about moving, but when you add up the cost to move, this first, last, and security deposit, it becomes too much. So just want to make sure you do understand the time is now to own your own. I remember when I was young, I used to hear this statement, God bless a child that has his own. And I just want to say, if you don't, let me help you get there. It's a very simple plan. Many of you, if you don't have, the credit right now, we can get that where it needs to be. Sometimes it's paying off something simple. I had a client, he just needed to refinance his car that lowered his DTI, his debt to income ratio. So it's, with a savvy lender, and I work with several lenders, and with a savvy lender, it makes it easier for that person to figure out how to get approved. Maybe not, I always tell people it's never no when it comes to buying a home. When you're talking to the lender, it's never no. It just may be not right now. But with a game plan, the lenders that I use, okay, we refrain from the word no, but we come up with a game plan how to make it feasible that you're able to purchase, right? We come up with a plan. I like to call it a prescription. How do I own? Maybe it's not right now. I know when I first came, my wife and I, back in 2015, we weren't ready, right? There was some things we needed a game plan. So the lender gave us a 90-day plan. And on the 94th day, we were solid. I needed to make a couple payments, get a few things cleared up, get some payment arrangement with the IRS. Listen, those little minor, but they looked exactly what I needed to do. All right. Based on the simulator, was able to tell them what was holding me from being approved. So we're going to look at that. The lender will, not me. I don't do loans. I'm not a lender. However, I work closely with lenders so they can help you. I said, listen, don't turn no one away without an answer, without giving them a game plan, a prescription, a method, a strategy on how to get where we're trying to be. Okay, so with that being said, I want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. Now, there are some grants available for the first-time buyer. If that's you, a first-time buyer is anyone who has not in the last 3 years owned a home. I know someone told me last night, but I've owned a home before. I can't be a first-time. I want you to forgive yourself. Yes, you can. I want you to let that go. If it's been longer than 3 years, the government forgives you. The federal government says, look, in our eyes, you're a first-time buyer. Never mind, you lost a home, deed in lieu, foreclosure. Doesn't matter. It's longer than 3 years, you're considered first-time home buyer. What does that mean? That means we can get you in with as little as 3.5% down. So there's always great avenues to make this thing work. So I'm looking at Dana on the screen. Dana, how's it going this afternoon, man?
It's going well, my friend. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I'm hearing you well. Good. I'm so glad you're here because I got so many questions, man. I'm just buying time at this point,
There you go.
Listen. I wanted to talk about, because you were telling me there were some special programs for some for-profit and non-profit. I want to talk about that for a moment with some of the commercial places and things like that. Give me a little bit of information on that.
Absolutely, my friend. First of all, thank you for having me on the show today. I'm really excited to be here. So as we were talking earlier, most recently in the beginning of 2023, the Inflation Reduction Act released a lot of incentives for both residential and commercial properties. Now, looking at that, there are funding programs out there for nonprofits, in particular churches,
yes,
and other organizations of that nature who want to install solar that can still benefit from the federal tax credit, which would otherwise would not be able to do so. And we also have firms out there who are now willing to purchase the ITC, or the investment tax credit, for nonprofit organizations. So for any type of industry out there that's wanting to get into the renewable space, save some money, and benefit from those most recent rebates and policies, then yeah, there is definitely opportunity out there for them.
Wonderful, man. Listen, this is some information that I have some churches here in town that have been talking about it. A couple of them have already, gotten installed on their churches, and so wanted to make sure. But I'm going to share this information again on my Facebook page. I'm gonna run it back.
Absolutely.
The other thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Well, let me just add to that in conjunction to the Inflation Reduction Act benefits for commercial. There's also lots of new benefits for the residential side as well, in terms of home improvement, windows, HVAC, EV chargers, and EV cars.
Okay.
There's so many benefits out there for both the commercial and residential industries until it's time to go solar for both of the industries.
That's right. One of the great things right now that people are really talking about is the opportunity to have solar. But some of them with their credit issues. We want to talk about that for a bit. Who may not be. What's the lowest we can go FICO wise to get someone approved? I've had a few people that have gotten right to the door and the credit just didn't go over the hurdle. What, based on the program you're with, that you work with, what's the minimum? Somebody said, "Well, I got that." That might be the.
Yeah. So first of all, let me answer that question by saying that we work with multiple financing companies that have different credit score requirements. Some of them have DTI requirements. Some don't have DTI requirements. DTI is to income ratio.
Right.
Typically, though, we look at a credit score of a minimum of 600, which will qualify for a certain amount of a home improvement loan for solar. The sweet spot is at least a 650, and that 650 is going to get the customer probably 100% of their financing done through whatever finance partner that we choose. So there's programs out there for both low income as well as your average and median income families.
We talked a bit about also this battery pack. We talked a bit about, the option that's available for those who may consider. Speak a little bit about that to somebody who, thinking about it, the power goes out, would benefit what I have.
You know what, man? So I can honestly say that the battery technology in the last 3 years has really taken off and made some great strides. Okay. So here in California, for instance, some of the policies changed with the CPUC and the major utility companies, where they minimized the buyback program of how much they're returning to a consumer for power that's exported to the grid. Okay. So what does that really mean? That means here in California and other states, in order for solar to be a viable technology for the consumer, a battery is necessary to offset what we call demand charges in the evening. Okay. Now, so looking at that technology, there's two sides to it. So whereas when you thought battery technology in the past, it was all about emergency situations. Right. Grid goes down, someone hits a power line, and there's no power in your neighborhood. That battery would give you power to run your solar off of. Okay, so that's an emergency power backup scenario. Well, now battery technology is moved more into a self-consumption mode. So you have emergency situations, what we call grid-tied battery, and then we have a self-consumption mode where the customer can actually power their battery or charge their battery during the daytime, and in the evening time, when that solar is not producing power, they can actually use their own stored energy in the evening time to avoid utility demand charges. So the functionality has really come a long way, and we're seeing even greater strides more and more as time unfolds.
So you can actually, during the financing, include that battery pack in the financing.
Absolutely.
But it's optional. But it's optional to have it.
It's optional to have it. So I would say to my clients here that are in California and some that are in other states where there is no NEM program. NEM is MENEM. It's an acronym that stands for Net Energy Metering. For states and utilities that don't have that program, a battery is definitely the way to go, because again, you're able to produce your own energy, store your own energy, and then use your own energy in the evening time. And to answer your question specifically, yes. So we can couple solar with storage. We can even include roofing into our solar financing options. If a customer needs a new roof, we can include that as well. So
and
we
that's
have
going to require, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, so the battery pack. So from here moving forward, I'm bringing 10 people today. By the way, those of you that are listening today and you want to look forward into, considering the option of solar, text the word solar to 702-349-0162. Text the word solar, 702-349-0162. Now, talking about the battery pack, because if someone, so every time we do an application, is it automatically or something that we request? Is it automatically, when we do the app, considering that that's going to automatically be put into that loan, or is it something we need to invite them to ask for?
With the lay of the land today, Greg, I'd say that's definitely a part of the conversation that should be in the initial conversation. So when I'm talking with my customers, here's the thing. So utility infrastructures, not just in California, but in Texas and across the United States, infrastructures are really outdated. A lot of them are causing fires and wildfires. You look at the wildfires in California specifically.
Right.
Their infrastructure is causing some of those wildfires. And so when you look at the infrastructure across the United States, it's outdated. It's 150 years old. In some cases, it's 200 years old, right? And so you have now more capacity on that infrastructure, and it's causing greater impacts on the infrastructure. So looking at solar today, it's definitely a benefit for a consumer to think about battery backup and self-consumption coupled with their solar system. Okay. Now, go ahead, my friend.
No, I love it. I just wish the guy would have told me about it when I put solar on my home. I'm like, really? I love this. This is great, man. But can I go back? Am I able to go? Someone listening today say, I have solar, but I don't have that. How do I get that? How do I add that to where I'm at? So what does that look like for someone listening? Say, I already have solar, Greg Deville. They just listen to the show. But this part of it, can we, go back, add to that unit that's existing already and add this?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I can say this, as of today, it's kind of split down the middle. There are some companies that will go back and do a retrofit on a customer's system, and then there are some companies that will not. And there are some technical ramifications behind that, because when you look at some of the states that have changed their solar policies, and you look at the AC rating and the DC rating on those systems, and I don't want to get too technical here, but when you start messing with that and increasing that above what is in the actual application for the utility company, it can kick a customer out of their old benefits into the new policies. And so we want to avoid that. So as the industry moves forward, we're looking at ways of how to make that happen without impacting their current NEM programs.
Okay. I got you. So just hold off, everyone, on if you have solar. But moving forward, we're definitely preaching have the backup battery, have that set up, go for it. Now, it's part of the financing. Now, will it hinder the financing? How does that affect the financing when someone's say the lender is looking at it? Does it affect because again, some people have I could sell a home at a 620, a 600, but they need a 650 for a solar. I'm thinking I could sell a home at 300, 500,000 with a 580. Why would the solar need me to have a 650? So when you're saying that 600 possibly, can a person consider that battery pack or do you see those mostly being higher in FICO scores getting those approved?
Not necessarily, because whereas in the past we were offsetting a customer's consumption by 100%, right? So when you look at solar under the old model, we wanted to offset 100% of their consumption, and we wanted to save them money. Okay.
Right.
The new scope of solar is we want to offset a smaller amount of that consumption, right? Give them a battery with a 2-to-1 ratio. What do I mean by that? You want, for every kilowatt of solar, you want to have 2 kilowatts of battery, right?
Okay.
And that's a safe equation for people who are wanting to go solar and do a whole home backup. Now, to answer your question specifically, most finance companies have 2 types of finance options. They'll have one option for solar only, and then they'll have an option for solar plus battery. Okay. So what we can do in the interim for some of those customers or some of those clients that can't really afford a whole home backup, we can look at doing a self-consumption battery, which is a more cost-effective battery. It's less technical on the configuration side, and it's going to lower that loan amount because it's a more cost-effective battery solution for the consumer, right? And as we move down the continuum, we can expand that later on for that client to give them more functionality of the battery. So again, yes, we're seeing battery technology being affordable for both the lower FICO score customers as well as the medium and high as well.
Okay. Now, I want to speak a moment for the tax incentives to those who. Well, let's talk about it this way. What would be a benefit from purchasing to leasing? What do you see as the benefit from the purchasing a unit versus the leasing of a unit?
Yeah, I get that question all the time, and I'm going to give you a description of both. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a family on the finance side, and that family is typically under the age of 65.
Okay. Right.
They're a working class family. Typically they owe money to the IRS at the end of the year, depending on which tax bracket they fall under. They owe money at the end of the year, and they're going to be in that home for, let's say, more than 10 years. Okay. Typically, I look at that family, and again, it varies from family to family. But I look at that scenario, and I'm able to find that those customers are benefiting from the federal tax credit, or ITC or FTC, whichever acronym you want to use. It's going to allow them to have equity in the property, because installing solar does increase the equity of your home. Okay. So if you ever sell that home, you have so much equity because of the solar system. And let me just add this as a side note, that solar is really literally the only home improvement that will increase the equity of your property. A pool won't, a roof may a little bit, but solar is going to increase the equity of your home. Okay. So
now, getting a pool, just for the record, getting a pool will give me a little equity, just FYI.
It'll give me a little bit.
Just a little bit, but it'll give me a little bit. It's better than the man next door without the pool. Trust me. It'll give me something, but I hear what you're saying. Not like solar. Yeah, exactly. Not like solar. I actually sold a home, and the guy, and we were able to increase it by $20,000 because he had solar. Yep. Okay. So I can attest, you do get a greater number of value when you have solar on your home. Absolutely.
Thank you.
But continue on.
Yeah. So if a family can benefit from that federal tax credit, and they can use that tax credit to offset tax debt, or even to receive that money in a check form, if they've paid enough out of their taxable income, right? And they are going to be selling that property at some point, and they want the equity in the home. They benefit from all of the rebates and federal tax credits that are out there. Okay. Now, moving to a lease scenario, typically I present this to the the senior level people who have no income. Maybe they're on SSI. Maybe they have, property that's a rental property, that's some income, but typically they cannot benefit from that federal tax credit. That's still a viable opportunity for them to go solar because they can still get the savings from solar. They won't get the federal tax credit and they won't have the equity in the property, but they can still benefit from having solar on the roof. So
Now, okay.
Go ahead.
There's a benefit for having solar on the roof, but they want to sell this property, and this is because I'm running into this right now. Selling a home, they lease the solar. The buyer is buying it who is not a senior.
Yep.
Can that loan be overturned? Can that, because they don't want to buy a home with a lease unit. It's like you never own it.
Yeah.
But
so that's a really good question, and I completely understand it. And I've been selling solar for about 11 years, almost 12 years now, and I've worked for some of the larger conglomerates out there. Solar City was one of those industry leaders, and all we sold was lease options. Now, the lease options, let's say 7 years ago, were a lot more restrictive than they are today. Okay, before you couldn't transfer that lease. It had to be paid off. If you sold the home, it had to be paid off. But the industry has changed for lease options. So now you can actually transfer that lease to a new owner, and you can buy off that lease and then transfer the system to the new owner. So you do definitely have some flexibility nowadays for lease options.
So the lease option, again, with this particular client so they leased it, the option, would the option be the new buyer qualifies for it to take over from where they left? Is that what that lease option means?
How long have they had that system? Do you know?
I want to say 3 years that the sellers, I'm working with the buyer on the deal, but it's a little, distasteful getting a home with a lease unit. That's like, I'd rather own it. I'd rather think my money, it's like renting a house. It's like, I never own it though. I never, and so.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man, because, again, without looking at the contract and knowing what a lease looks like, typically a lease will want you to pay fair market value of the remaining term on that contract. And what that number is, it's really hard to say based on, the company that sold it, how many panels they have, the kind of equipment, those kinds of things. But, I would, again, go back to the beginning and see exactly what they signed up for.
Definitely. So now we talked about the special programs in churches and homes, and we talked about the battery option backup. We talked about the debt to income ratio. You mentioned that there was a soft credit pool.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that for a moment. For someone listening, they don't want their credit ran, right?
Yeah.
But they're interested on maybe just peeking at the opportunity.
Absolutely, my friend. Yeah, every time you pull your credit, it does ding your score, unfortunately, and most of the finance companies understand that, right? And so we're able to actually pull credit on a client, and it's a soft credit check, so there's no impact to the credit score whatsoever. Now, let's just say everything looks great. That customer says yes, I want to go solar. Let's sign up today. Eventually, within about 2 weeks, that will become a hard credit check, and it will impact the credit score. But initially, it's going to be a soft credit check. Now, we also have one finance partner that it never becomes a hard credit check. It's always a soft credit check. So we're sensitive to the consumer. We're sensitive to the market, and we've really thought about this from different angles and what is going to be best for the client.
So again, pulling the FICO and the soft pool, I'm a little interested to know: is it only for seniors to lease? What would a person who has tax returns? Why would a person lease a unit? I've heard someone leased a unit, and I don't understand why. Is there something other than the taxes that would make a person lease a unit?
That's a great question. I can say this, first of all. Let me just preface my answer by saying that I am not a CPA. and I'm not able to give tax advice. However, leasing a solar system, there's a couple benefits for that. If you cannot benefit from the federal tax credit. Okay, right now when you look at financing on solar, the interest rates are they're higher than normal. Okay. And so interest rates have climbed, for solar. On the lease side, the customer can do either a 0.99% escalation, they can do a 2.99 escalation, or a 3.9 escalation. What that means is, let's just say a customer does a $100 lease per month, and I'm going to do some math because I'm really bad at math.
Right.
But they have a payment of $100, and that escalation is 2.99%. Each year, that payment will increase by $2.99. So when you look at the payment over the long term, the lease can be a more cost-effective way to go solar. However, again, you're losing those benefits. Remember that. You're losing those benefits of the federal tax credit. You're losing those benefits of having equity in the property. And it could be a little bit more restrictive with how you transfer that system to the new owner. So if the person cannot deal with that federal tax credit, then that's when I talk lease.
Okay. So now I own the system. What to a person who's been considering it? They're on the fence. Want to know what real good benefit, especially in Nevada. We've gone up 54.2% since 2021. So when someone adds the solar to their property, you mentioned to me earlier about, they might pay 50 cents a kilowatt or what have you. Explain to that person who's not sure how solar works and how it benefits them in having the solar in their home at this high rate time we're in right now.
Absolutely, my friend. And you really answered your own question. So when you look at utility companies, the DOE, or the Department of Energy, sets a national average, looking at the whole nation, of 4 to 6% increase annually for utility companies. That is not the reality. In Nevada, I believe you guys have had maybe a 20% rate increase. California's had a 25% rate increase. Nationwide, when you look at the increases of utility companies, they are getting more and more expensive. So whereas your bill was $100 this year, next year your bill is going to be $150 on average. Okay, so looking at solar as a viable opportunity or a viable solution for you, what you're doing with solar is you're taking control over what kind of energy you're producing. First of all, it's not dirty fossil fuels from the utility companies of coal and other fossil fuels. You're producing clean energy by the sun. It's a God-given element for us. And then you're also taking control over how much you're paying for that energy. So with solar, if I can lock my rate in at 12 cents a kilowatt versus 15 or 50 cents per kilowatt, 12 cents makes much more sense.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know you had some other things to do today. I wanted to have you, Dana. We're going to pick up tomorrow on my Tomorrow Show. We're going to pick up over there. It's going to be on another side of town. We're going to talk to that audience over there. I'm thankful that you took the opportunity. I know you were busy last moment and you said yes. So I won't hold you any longer. I know you're a busy person out there in California. But listen, let's get together. Let's do some business. Let's sign up some new clients that we can help save money on this energy bill. So thank you again, man. Thank you again.
You're
very,
welcome,
very informative. And we'll talk again. We'll talk again later, okay?
Before we sign off, man, I do want to do something for your clients. And this is specific for your clients. So for everyone that goes solar through your station, my friend, we're going to offer them a free ecobee smart thermostat. Okay. And that's installed thermostat. It's great technology. And we just that's a sign of our appreciation to say thank you to your clients.
Yeah, and those thermostats aren't cheap. I put one on my home and I thought, wow. I'm thinking it was like regular. No. Yeah, the smart means I can control it from wherever through my smartphone. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. So, okay. Well, we'll hold you to that. And we'll speak again tomorrow on the other side of town. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Greg.
You bet. We'll be in touch. Take care. So, again, man, as many of you know, I'm big with solar. I put it on my home, and I'm telling you, my bill has gone away. I have now. I just pay a flat $200 just for the solar panels, right? Because I have so many. I have a pretty almost 40 panels on my roof. They're kind of situated around. Now people say, well, they don't look good, but money saving sure does. Wouldn't you agree? Money saving looks much better. Don't look up. You know, somebody say, you guys got air conditioners on your roof. I say, we sure do, but I don't look up at that. You know, I look down at my savings account, right? I say, yes, this looks good. So you got to make up with something, right? Listen, if you're looking to save money, you're looking to save from giving that, and you know, it's sad, but there's expected to have another rate hike through NV Energy before the end of the year. Now, if we're already expensive and they're talking about even going higher, the difference with solar, man, is you're locking in your rate now. You're locking in that monthly. So take the guesswork out of where, you know, now you're opening the bill like peeking at it first. You know, some people used to raise it up to the light. I don't even want to open it. Let me get a peek. Oh, that's a 7 in the front. Oh, God. And that's a 5 in the back. Oh, and it's a 0. Oh, God. Yep, that's 1 month. NV Energy. Had I not gone solar, my bill, my winter bill, before my solar was connected in February, before it got connected, my winter bill was $410 for the winter bill. I hadn't turned on an AC. I was just using gas to heat up the house because of the increase with NV Energy. Listen, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So if you're tired of walking around, you know, with this guesswork, and you want to do away with the possibility of having to put up with what NV Energy's putting out, right? You say, look, I want to level the playing field. I want to know my bill. Now, you won't have the opportunity to save this summer, right? But definitely next summer, because it's a little late now. It'll take anywhere from, you know, 45 to 60 days, start to finish, to install the solar. So, of course, you know, but being that we have great sun year round, the benefit of the solar is that you get the use of the sun. We have so much sun. We may get a day or two. You know, I don't know if we've had 3 straight days of rain. Very, very rare. We get one good rain, and next day we got good sunshine. So take the opportunity of what's available. Again, there are no upfront costs. There are tax incentives. Did I say no upfront costs? Let me say it again. There are no upfront costs to install solar on your home. So why not take the advantage to have solar, to utilize the sun, the natural energy, the God-given energy, as Dana would call it, to power your home. Now, granted, you're connected to the source of NV Energy, right? That's only because they're the grid to some degree, right? To supplying the power, but they supply it. I think one person told me they're paying an average $13, $15 a month just for the connection, just for those power lines to send the power to the house. But you're going through your panels for the power usage. So understand, this is a great opportunity to take on having your own solar. Now, do us a favor. Now, you know, Deville Solar Marketing Group, we just market solar. We're not the company that installs it. We're not the company who does the credit check. We're simply a marketing group that markets solar, that we can explain to people the advantage of having solar. I'm just a middle guy who says, listen, the advantage is I don't have to guess on my monthly bill. I know where I stand. Monthly, here's where I am. Now, it's not predicated on how much usage because it comes through the solar. So however much it is, it's right through the solar. So take advantage. Take advantage of what the solar offers. I would love to have you get a free estimate. So what you're going to do is you're going to text the word solar, 702-349-0162. Text the word solar. I'm going to send you a link that will get you started with the basic information, right? Nothing, no socials or anything like that. Just basic information. Guess what? Let's see how many panels you need. We will need to see your kilowatt usage. Typically, that's on your front of your bill. You take a screenshot of that just so we can look at what usage you're using. How much usage do you use? We need to know. So text the word solar, 702 349-0162. You want to get a free estimate? You want to know what does it look like having solar per month? Miss Ruth, shout out to Miss Ruth. She just got her solar installed, and she said my bill is equal $129 a month. Just that's it. Whether I used $400 of power or I use $129, it's going to be the same every month. I'd rather be the same every month than the guessing, like the landlord. That's why we talk about home ownership. Because you do away with the landlord. Say you sign a 1-year lease. Well, in 1 year, he can go up $300-$400. There is no, regulation as to what the increase can be, as there are in some states. Some states, they have a cap, a rent cap. Sometimes it's 3% annually. Well, Vegas, it could be whatever the landlord wants it to be. He might want to go buy him a new car, and the payment is $600 a month for the new car. So he goes up $300 on the rent. So he's basically paying $300 for the car that he's actually paying $600 for, but you splitting the cost with him to ride sweet, if I can. But those are the advantages of landlords, right? I mean, hey, nobody can't tell me I can't go up on my rent. I don't have to have a reason. There's no explanation when a landlord simply tells you. Most time they'll write you a letter, hey, lease is about to expire. I plan to increase the rent in the next duration of the term of the lease. That's why I tell people, sign a 2-year lease. If you just know your credit not there, sign a 2-year. So, hey, look here, 2 years, you know where you are, because the next, within a year, go up $300, and you talk about moving, but it costs double to move. That's why I'm telling you about getting into your own real estate, having your own piece of the pie, the American dream. 702-349-0162. That's the number you need to contact me on. Let's talk about the advantages of having your own home, having solar on your home, equal monthly mortgage payment, equal monthly power bill. Listen, it gets no better than this. This is wonderful. Now, keep in mind, if the credit is the issue, we got creditors who can help get you where you need to be. First thing into purchasing a home is to find out where you are. You got to do an application. So if you want to purchase, you want to get into looking at the opportunity of purchase and do an app, again, no upfront costs. 702. Text the word purchase. 702-349-0162. If you want to look at purchasing solar, you're going to text the word solar. If you think about purchasing a home, text the word purchase a home. Solar, purchase a home, both at the same number, 702-349-0162. We want to keep you moving forward, pressing forward, advancing in your knowledge, creating wealth through equity. Now, if you're in trouble with the mortgage, you have a problem catching up on the rears. Listen, bankruptcy is not always the answer. Let me ask you a question. If you have equity in your home, let's say you have, like my last client, they had $140,000. They thought maybe we'll just bankrupt. Then I said, well, if you bankrupt, the 140 is still 140, but it's in the house. So if you bankrupt, you can never touch the 140,000. So she said, what are the options? I said, well, the option is you could bankrupt, or the other option is you could sell, rent for 1 year, take your 140,000, pay off some debt while you're renting for the 1 year, raise your score to at least a 580, 600, and you can purchase a home again. Why? Because she'll have $100,000. I said that $40,000, pay off some debt, pay off that car, get your credit cards back down, and take a trip, take a staycation, rest your brain, just do nothing, sit by the pool, and just thank Greg Deville, right, for coming to tell you about this good stuff of taking a break, because we many times people are stressed out over life, just life, bro. Getting behind isn't hard. One payment and you're behind. There's not always a case we can miss a payment and then come back and pay two. No, that payment in the hole is in the hole. In many cases, so we're always one in the hole. God forbid we get two, like, oh, we're drowning, right? Going down without a life jacket. Let me be your life jacket. Let me be the one to show you how to get out of what you're in. How do we do that? 702-349-0162. I want to talk to you how to get out of what you're in. If it's a mortgage crisis, don't lose your home. Don't lose your home to the bank. The bank doesn't want your home. Let me make this clear to you. The bank is not into real estate. Number two, the bank does not want your real estate. And number three, they want the money. You know why? Because it's interest on the money. Banks are loaning you money from investor money. So every time someone makes a huge deposit, let's say $500,000, they use it, they give them 2% interest on the money they're putting in the bank. Well, the bank loans it to you for 7%, so they're making 5, giving back the 2. So guess what? They don't want to lose you. So the banks are willing to work with you because guess what? It behooves them to keep you in the house, keep paying that 7% interest rate, so they can keep making 5, and the investor makes his 2. So banks don't want real estate. Banks, listen, we had a meeting with the banks. Banks said, listen, we're not into real estate. That's why we got Greg Deville. Okay, we don't want your real estate. Okay, we want the interest on the payment, right? That's why you can get a free alarm system put in the house. Did you know that? You can get an alarm system. If you own your own home, you can have an alarm system put in, free 99 install. You know why? Because they make money off the payments. That's, oh no, we'll install you the top of the line unit. Price typically $1,500 for this alarm unit, right? Cameras and yada yada. They say we'll give it to you absolutely free. But you know what they're banking on are the monthly payments. So if they get 2 million people at $52 a month, and 52 million people, I need a calculator. How much they're making. But understand, the money's made in the payments, not in the install, because they can get a one-time payment of $1,500. What they gonna do, right? One time $1,500, or they know you're gonna be there 5 years at $52. That's the money they want to make. So understand, banks don't want your home. If you get behind in the mortgage, you may very well have equity. But if you stay behind, then what happens is you leave the bank no choice but to foreclose. Hear me well. Banks don't want to foreclose. Banks want the interest. But you push them against the wall when you make them have to foreclose. Now, I recently got a phone call from a lady who was crying. They took my house. It was fraud. I said, let me ask you a question. Did you miss a payment? She said, yeah, I missed a few payments. At the end of the day, you frauded. Because in the promissory note of the original loan documents, you promised and understood in that promissory note that you'll make your payments on time every month and you will not be delinquent. And if you do get delinquent, that within 90 to 120 days, they have a right to proceed with foreclosure. The foreclosure proceedings is what they call it. So understand, if you've missed payments, it's not the bank wanting to take your house. The bank doesn't want your house. The bank wants the interest. Can I say that again? Banks don't want your house. Banks want the interest. So if they're having to take the house, it's because you stopped paying on the interest. So don't say the bank frauded you. I had an attorney. The lady said, well, I paid an attorney. Let me tell you one thing, and hear me good. The attorneys will take your money, but they can't stop a foreclosure. Now, what the attorneys can do is they can postpone it, right? They can just postpone it. She said, yeah, I paid the attorney, and he didn't even show up at court. I'm like, he's not going to show up at court. Because he can't defend a promissory note you signed that you would pay it over the course of 30 years. Now they said, listen, there's no prepayment penalty, Mr. Man, Mr. Lady. You can pay it off early, yada, yada, yada. End of the day, they just want the interest, right? They don't want the house. I met with the bankers, Wells Fargo, B of A, all the bankers. Mr. Deville, we do not want the house. We want the interest. So if you stop making those payments, they have, well, listen, they'll repossess your car. Miss 2 payments and see, right? You wonder why people riding around with dirty cars. They're like, it's bound to take it any minute, so no need to washing it. End of the day is you don't pay, it's got to go. So don't say the attorney and you're fighting the case, it was fraud. The fraud is you didn't make the payment. If you didn't make the payment, see you later, got to go. That's it in a nutshell. So real talk, make those payments over 30 years, pay it off sooner in 15. If you add a little bit every month to your payment, you can own it sooner. But I'd say before paying it off, do a refinance, take equity out of the home, put it into another investment property for residual income. So there's benefits to creating wealth. How do you do it? Through real estate. So listen, the engineer's looking at me telling me I got to get out of the square chair, air chair here. So I'm going to go. And I'm going to give you my number again. If you need to reach out to me, feel free. Let's talk about some avenues for those of you who have equity in your home, for those of you who are in trouble with your mortgage and you feel like the bank is about to foreclose. They're going to foreclose. Just read the mail. they have a sale date. Now, we can get that sale date postponed in many cases, but you got to act now. You need to reach out to me, 702-349-0162. Let's get it moving now. Let's not wait. You waited long enough. So anywhere from 90 to 120 days, you could lose your home if you're that far behind in payments. So read your mail. There may be a sale date. All right. So look, 702-349-0162. We'd love to speak with you about any of those questions. First time buyers is one that has not owned in the last 3 years. Talk about solar. Get your solar. If you own your home, if you own your churches, commercial plazas, you guys, if you own it, you can solar it. Get with me. Let's talk more about it. 702-349-0162. Well, until I talk to you next Thursday right here at 3 o'clock, I hope you have a great weekend. Be safe. And until I talk to you then, I pray that God's best be yours.
Yeah. Jones, hey, Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real